Now in this video we're going to have a look at the coasts paper that you had to go at, and I'm going to go through all the questions and tell you how to do really well in every single one, okay? And that'll allow us to do some high quality dirt work, and if you get a question similar to this in the future, then you'll be able to do really well in it. So, listen up. Question 03.1. Now the first question says, using figure 9, match the coastal feature below to the correct grid reference. And what it does is it says the coastal feature is wave cut platform, and those are the 3 grid references. So we need to get figure 9 out, use our map to find those 3 grid references, and shade in the box to say which one of those 3 grid references we think a wave cut platform is found at. So if we get the map out and we try and find them, so the first one is 673,398, and that's found roughly around here. So 6, 7 and about 3 across, 3, 9, about 8 up, so that's roughly here. So that's kind of like a bay with a bit of a beach there, so that's like a beach, so that's not a wave cut platform. B says 669,421, so 669 is going to be roughly along here, and 421 is going to be about here. So that kind of looks similar to a wave cut platform, so like a thick, well, thinnish layer of rock sticking out to sea where a cliff used to be eroded or was eroded away. And finally, just to check, 668,842, that's found round about here, and that isn't even at the coast, that's kind of a bit of land on top of the cliff where we've actually got a golf course. So out of the 3, it's going to have to be this one, it's going to have to be B. So that there is a wave cut platform, this kind of sticking out bit of rock that is left behind after the cliff has eroded away. That's the wave cut platform, so that's the right answer to the first one. So the first one, all you're going to do is you're going to just shade in that there, and there's one mark. 0302. Now this is another one which isn't really testing your knowledge of the coasts, it's more testing some of your map skills. And what it says, what is the straight line distance between one point in grid square 6642 and bolt tail in 6639. So what we need to do is, first off, we need to find these 2 grid squares. So 6642, 66 up to 42 is there, so that square there. And the second one was 6639, 6639, bottom left corner of the square, so it's that square there. There's bolt tail, there's Warren Point. We need to know what the distance is between the 2 in kilometres. So the way we do that is we actually measure it in centimetres first. So if we get a ruler out and measure the distance between the 2 in centimetres, helps if you actually don't measure it in inches as well. So measure it in centimetres, and it's roughly about 4.5 centimetres. Okay, so that's 4.5 centimetres, but we need the answer in kilometres. So we're going to use this scale at the bottom of the map. So remember, it's 4.5 centimetres. If you get your ruler out and start it at 0 and measure 4.5 centimetres along, that gets to about 2 and a bit kilometres, so about 2.4 kilometres I'd say, just less than 2.5. So if we look over here, the options are 1.8, 2.4, 3 and 3.6, and I reckon it was about 2.4, so I reckon the answer's B. So as before, shade it in there, and there's another mark. Oh, 3.3. So this next question, 03.3, says, suggest one reason for the uneven shape of the coastline shown in figure 9. And so to answer this, we're going to look back at figure 9 again, the all-important figure 9, and as you can see here, the coastline is really uneven, as it says. It's not really straight, it's really, really uneven. The whole coastline is really not in a straight line at all. So we need to explain why that is the case. Just for one mark, we need to literally just give one reason why it's so uneven, okay? And if I show you the mark scheme gives you about 4 different answers that you could say. The one that most people tend to talk about though is this one, so differences in rock type and gradient. So the fact that some rocks are stronger than others and they resist the attack of the waves. So all you need to say is that some of this coastline is made of hard rock and some of it is made of soft rock. So here we could have some hard rock, here we've probably got some hard rock, might have some softer rock here, so that's why it's eroded a lot quicker. So I'll show you an example of one person who actually, this is one answer that someone in one of the classes gave. There may be alternating bands of hard and soft rock which causes erosion to occur at different rates, and that would get 1 mark. So anything along those lines is worth a mark, and well done. Now we're on to question 03.4. So question 03.4 says, study figure 10, a photograph of bolt tail shown in grid square 6639 on figure 9. And it says, using figures 9 and 10, in which direction was the photographer facing when the picture was taken? Okay, so we've got figure 10 there, which shows us bolt tail. And if we look at figure 9 yet again, in grid square 6639, so 6639, here we go. So basically we're looking at this like headland here, this sticky out bit of rock called a headland is what we're looking at here. And we need to say which direction we think the photographer was facing when he took this picture. Okay, so one thing I'd bear in mind is we can see the sea in the background here, can't we? We can see the sea, so we know the photographer must be on the land facing sort of outwards to sea, some sort of direction like that. So if we look on here, we know the photographer's got to be stood around here facing that way in order to see the headland and the sea in the background. So if he's stood here and he's facing over that way, we should be able to know what direction he's facing. So if we remember our grid references, we should know that it's north, east, south, west. So if we think he's stood here facing that way, then we look at the compass I've just drawn, we reckon he's facing that way then, don't we? So in between north and west, we have northwest, so that would imply that northwest is the answer. So we're going to fill that in there, just like this person has, and you get 1 mark, and that's how you do it. And now we're on to 03.5. So in 03.5, we're still looking at figure 10, this photograph of bolt tail headland here. And it says, name one process of erosion that may affect these cliffs. Okay, and I've underlined erosion because we're looking at erosion and not weathering. So we're not looking at biological weathering or freeze-thaw weathering or anything like that. We're looking at erosion. So there's 4 types of erosion: hydraulic action or hydraulic power, corrosion or solution, in other words. There's abrasion, and finally there's attrition, and 3 of these will affect the cliffs, 3 of these affect the coast. One of them, attrition, that's the one where rocks and material carried in the waves hit against each other and wear each other away. So that's the only one that isn't correct, basically. So on here I've written down the answers you could put. So you could put hydraulic power, or in other words hydraulic action. You could put abrasion, or in other words corrosion. Or you could put solution, or in other words corrosion. The only one it can't be is attrition. So if you put attrition, then shame on you. 03.6. And in question 03.6, we are treated to a brand new figure, figure 11. And it says, study figure 11, a photograph showing sea defences at B Sands in Devon. And it says, suggest how the sea defences shown in figure 11 help to protect the coastline. So, key thing here to note is it says sea defences, defences plural, so we're going to talk about more than one sea defence, and it says suggest how they help to protect the coastline. Okay, so we need to basically say what sea defences we can see, more than one as well, and we need to actually explain how they protect the coastline, and it's worth 4 marks. So we're looking at a little paragraph here to get 4 marks. So if you have a look at the photograph, you can see that we have these massive rock boulders. That's called rock armour. So these are the large rock boulders that are placed on the coast to help absorb some of the energy of the waves. We've also got a big wall going down here called a sea wall. So they're the 2 sea defences we're talking about. So to get 4 marks in this question, you need to just say those 2 sea defences that you can see, and you just need to briefly explain how they actually help to protect the coast. So I've got a good example from somebody here who got 4 marks, and they said there are 2 noticeable sea defences shown in figure 11. First to note is there are rocks lined up on the beach known as rock armour, and using these rocks on the beach, places where the waves break, and it reduces erosion, and it can basically protect the land behind it. The land behind it is protected. Okay, so that would get you 2 marks, saying rock armour, saying that it slows down the waves, reduces erosion. And the second one says the second defence is a sea wall built on a curve. It deflects waves as they break onto it, reducing erosion of the land behind by pushing the waves away as they break. So that would also get 2 marks. So 2 and 2, 4 marks. So we've picked out the 2 sea defences we can see. We've said how they actually protect the coast. That's the important bit, actually explaining how they protect the coast. And then you get 4 marks, and that's sorted.